Hey everybody, Mac here, and we are going to work on exponents, negative exponents, and how to deal with negative and zero exponents. Now, we also need to know some other things. We need to know how to multiply, and we also need to know how to divide. And so there's going to be a little bit of that mixed in here as well. So here we go. You can find more of this at maxtutorials.com. You can see that right there on the bottom. And again, anytime you like and subscribe, that helps me out. Thank you very much, guys. All right, so the first thing I see here is that I have an x to the negative 2 and an x to the negative 3 on top. Now, when you multiply them together, which is what we're doing, we just add the exponents. What is a negative 2 plus negative 3? That would be a negative 5. Y to the fourth. Now, what do we do with negative exponents? We flip them, and then we make them positive. Now, there's nothing left on top. Don't just leave it, okay? You have to put a placeholder on top. There always has to be a numerator, always. And if there's nothing there, you write a 1, okay? That's like your placeholder. And so this would be my final answer. Okay, so number 2, when I look at this one, first of all, let's just flip everybody on the right side. That's m to the fourth on bottom. That's an m to the 1 on top and an n squared. Now, when you have the same base, and look at here, I have the m's. Here's what you do. When they're dividing like this, you subtract the numbers and you keep it on the side that has more. Well, there's more on the bottom, so my m3 is going to stay on bottom and my n2 is going to be on top. Okay? Let's go to number 3. R to the 0 is just a 1. Now, let's do the rest. I notice I have 2 s's on top, so let's go ahead and add them up. What's a negative 3 plus 3? Negative 3 t to the fourth. Now, we just got to flip that, and that'll be s to the third, t to the fourth. I have nothing on top, but you got to write a 1, okay? If you don't write a 1, then you don't know that that s3t4 is going to be a denominator. All right, 4. First of all, let's look. Is there anything we can combine? Yeah, that x to the negative 5th and that x squared. When I put those together, I'm going to add the exponents and get x to the negative 3, y to the 3, z to the negative 4. And when I flip them all around, I'm going to get, let's see, my y3 on top. I'm going to get an x3 on bottom because I flipped, and a z to the 4th on top. All right, let's go to number 5. So now on number 5, I have my a's, and I'm going to go 8. What's 8? Negative 2 times 8 to the 5. If you multiply, you add, and that's going to give me a to the third power. And then I'm just going to write the rest. B to the negative 3, c squared. Now do your flipping. 8a3, b3, because I moved the b to the negative 3 up, c squared on the bottom. Number 6. Do I flip the 4 down? No, because that negative 3 goes to the p. The negative 3 does not go to the 4. So my 4 stays on top. My p3 goes on bottom. My p to the 6 stays on top. My q to the 0 just becomes a 1. So he's not part of the equation at all. Now, when I have the same base, I subtract the exponent. Keep it on the side that has more. So 6 minus 3 is 3. There's more on top. So that's my answer. Do I need to put a 1 on the bottom? I can. It's not wrong. But remember, you don't need a placeholder on the bottom. You only need a placeholder on the top. So you can write it like that too. Okay, number 7. Ooh, U's and V's. All right. Let's flip everybody on the right side first of all. So let's go U. And I always put a tail there, else it kind of looks like a V. U squared. The V to the negative 4. I'll make sure I try to be as angular as I can there. I don't like it when they use U's and V's like this. And that's just a V. I'll write the 1 on top. Why not? Now, if you notice, I've got that going on, right? So when that happens, we subtract, keep it on the side with more. So on the bottom, I already have a U2. That's going to stay there. U2. That's funny. Here we go. And then the V, 3. And then I leave a 1 on top. Okay? And then on number 8, boop, 1. So that's 2 times 1. That's just going to be a 2. And the 2 stays on top. Let's flip my y squared to the bottom. Let's flip my y to the negative 5 on top. And let's flip my z to the negative 2 on top. Now, the only thing I notice is that I have these y's. And when I have that, I have to subtract them and keep it on the side that has more, which is up here, z squared. And that's my answer. I don't need the 1 on the bottom. Okay, going on now. Number 9. So I notice that I have a's on top. Let's multiply them together. A to the negative 3 times a to the 5th is a squared. And I have b to the negative 2. Now I just want to flip it on top. A squared, b squared is my final answer. All right, let's keep going on this. I'm going to have my 6 right here. And now I got to do my x squared and my x to the 4th. That just becomes an x squared, z to the negative 1. Now I'll just flip that, 6x squared z 1. All right, let's go on to number 11. I see that c0. I know that's just a 1. Okay, now I have a 3a to the negative 5 times a squared. When we get that, we just add the exponents. So that's going to become 3a to the negative 3. And I have a whole video on Max tutorials on how to do that. B to the negative 1. Now we have to do some flipping though, right? Now the 3 stays on top. That negative 3 goes to the a. The negative 3 does not go to the 3. So I'm going to get an a cubed on bottom, and I'm going to get a b on the bottom. All right, number 12. First thing I notice is that the 5m to the 0, that just becomes a 1. So it's 5 times 1, which is 5. 5 stays on top. N to the negative 4 goes to the bottom. Oh, but I'm going to keep it positive when I do that. And the n to the negative 1, I'm going to keep on top. I will write the 1, so you can see right here that I have this. And when I have the same base, I'm going to subtract the exponents, but I'm going to keep it on the side with more, which in this case is going to be on the bottom. All right, number 13. I see that x to the 0, that just becomes a 1. I see a y to the negative 5th times y to the 3rd. I'm multiplying. When you multiply, you add the exponents, which will give me y to the negative 2 over z to the negative 2. Now, negative exponents, we want to flip them. Z squared over y squared. Okay? Number 14, I see that I have a z to the 0. I'm going to turn that into a 1. All right, I notice that I have the 7x to the negative 4th times x squared. If you looked at the previous video on multiplying exponents, you would learn that that is going to be a 7. X to the negative 2, because when we multiply, we add the exponents. Y to the negative 3. Now I just got to get everybody on the right side. The 7 stays. The x goes down and the y goes down. Okay? Number 15. 9a to the negative 6 times a squared. That's going to equal 9a to the what? When you multiply, you add. Okay? And that's going to be b to the 4th over c to the negative 3. Now we're going to do our flipping. 9 stays on top. The negative 4 goes to the a, not to the number. My a will go down. My b will stay up. And my c will flip to the top and become positive. Last one. Okay, now on this one, I'm just going to do this part first. And that becomes m to the negative 4. And I have p to the negative 4. Now I'll just flip them. So we'll go p4 on top, and we'll go m4 on bottom. And that, my friends, is how we deal with negative exponents. And a little division and a little multiplication. Got a little bit of everything in there, okay? So good job, everybody. Way to hang in there. You're doing great. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.